My name is Shubh. I'm a Schulich Leader scholar studying biomedical sciences and a member at STEM Fellowship. And you're listening to STEMFellows, a monthly podcast where I have conversations with prominent STEM leaders to spark big ideas. Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of STEMFellows. This month, I'm thrilled to have a special guest on the show, Harleen Klair. Harleen is an iBiomed student at McMaster University and holds numerous leadership positions with national organizations. She serves as STEM Fellowship's Chief Marketing Officer and Biotech's Design Lead. Harleen, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thanks so much, Shubh. It's great to be here. I'm really excited to talk to everyone.
Yeah, I just want to start off by saying how, if it weren't for you, I guess I wouldn't even be a part of SF, and this podcast wouldn't be a thing. So I guess thank you for recruiting me onto your team when I initially joined SF and encouraging me to pursue this podcast idea that I had.
Oh, no worries. Like, you don't have to thank me. I think in general, like whenever you join teams, I think environment is such an important thing. Like you should have someone who supports you to like achieve your goals. It's not just about the organization. So I'm glad you have this. I really am.
Yeah, no, that's what makes you like an incredible leader, and just fortunate to have you today. So I guess we can get into it. I guess I gave a little introduction at the start, but I don't know if there were missing parts. Would you just, I guess, mind filling those in and describing yourself again?
Yeah, of course. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Harleen Klair. I am going into my third year at McMaster for mechanical and biomedical engineering. It's a really like weird mix of degrees for anyone just looking at it, but that's because I envision myself going into into the side of rehabilitation, so helping people by making prosthetics for them, helping them gain abilities that they might have been lacking because of surgery or whatever else life hits you with, I suppose. And it's just a lot of fun because it mixes a lot of elements of design. As you know, I'm like the design team lead at the biotech organization, as well as that's what I was before at like STEM Fellowship, and then I became CMO. A lot of fun. Cool. I do a bunch of other design things outside of school too, like with McMaster's handbook, and it's just too many things to list at once. But the point is that I've been lucky enough to find a way to mix my passions into what I'm hoping to do as my career.
So is that, I guess, what compelled you to pursue iBiomed at McMaster? Like going into university, did you know that is what you wanted to do? Or it's just like, okay, I see this option, maybe, yeah, this is the right fit for me?
Funny story. I actually completely forgot I applied for my program. It completely slipped my mind. And then my friend is like, hey, this is a great opportunity, because I am very indecisive. If you ever know me, that's a huge thing, where I loved biology so much, but I didn't want to become a doctor. Med school just wasn't for me. And then there was wow, physics. I really like getting hands-on. I love the engineering side of things. So having a program that let you get hands-on was fantastic. When I remembered I applied, it was great, because I was like, this is perfect for me. And for anyone who's interested in joining, it's a great program, because in your first year, I built a hip implant and 3D design, 3D printed it and designed it, and it was absolutely fantastic. You do a lot of hands-on projects when online school isn't a thing, and it's a really great opportunity to put yourself in a situation where you act like you're in the real world. So fantastic program, highly recommend it.
So it sounds like, I guess, it had a lot of experiential learning, design, innovation, and I guess that's what might compel people to, I guess, pursue it and continue with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's neat. Yeah. And I actually have a few friends in the iBiomed program at McMaster. So they've told me about I guess how competitive and difficult it is to actually even get into it and then keep doing it. So I guess, what have your experiences been with the program itself? Maybe the workload, and I guess what would you tell someone who's looking at joining or applying to it, I guess?
I mean, I'm going to be completely honest, engineering is not for everyone. It's one of those things that has a heavy workload. We have 6 courses in a semester, and obviously and I'll get into this later, you can be flexible with yourself. But it's a lot of work. It is. But part of it is really worth it, because then you finally get to kind of tap into the stuff that you're actually interested in, whether, like for me, for example, like getting hands-on designing things, and that makes all of it worth it, if I'm being completely honest. But a good kind of indicator of whether or not you'd be a good fit for the program is like, one, do you actually enjoy these subjects? Because engineering is so math heavy, so physics heavy. If you don't like it in high school, you're not gonna like it now. I kind of learned that the hard way. I was like, I'll be fine. Math isn't too bad. I am taking 4 calc courses, which is great, but it also kind of sucks if you don't like
calc, like in one semester.
No. It was like across 4 semesters. Yeah. But it gets overwhelming. But I guess a good piece of advice would be like, know yourself. Know if this is something that you really want to do, if you really want to go into it, and know your study habits. Like for me, I am a serial procrastinator. So kind of so understand that part of yourself and don't try to change it, but like try to adjust around it. So now instead of taking 6 courses a semester, I try to do some courses in the summer. So it just makes it easier for myself later and stuff like that, right? And the biggest piece of advice is don't get stuck in your dreams. Like sometimes, for example, I thought that like, I'd be a mechanical engineer, and it was very different. My aspirations were very different from what they are now. Changing that during your university career, changing your major, doing any of that is perfectly okay. Like it's not the end of the world. It feels like it, but I promise it's not. It's just part of the process. It's part of learning about yourself, and uni comes with it. That's part of like the deal that you sign up for, along with that spicy tuition. But you just have to be okay with that. Be flexible, I think, would summarize everything I've said quite well.
Be flexible. No, that's an important message. Yeah. When you said 4 calc courses, like I was done with just taking one. Like I had 1 calc course my first semester, because I'm going into my second year now. So when I was taking in my first semester, I just did like the first calc, and I'm like, okay, this is enough calc for me, like no more. So I didn't take calc 2. I just took like stat instead for second semester, and I have like no more math courses, just biochem and health sciences.
You do what you gotta do.
Biomed also has like required health science courses that you have to take too.
Yeah, we do. So like along with a lot of those spicy math courses, we have anatomy, we have like a lot of literature based courses, so like how to read scientific articles, how to write scientific articles. And in McMaster, I guess this is a good and bad thing. You can take it as you will. It's very research focused. So I now, like for example, I'm really comfortable reading scientific articles, get the gist of it, and like know how to see if it's a good one. And that's especially great for people going into research, going to med school. Fantastic uni to go to. For me, it helped me to realize that I hate research. Not something I want to go to. But like that's good, because like now I know. And
now you know. Okay.
Yeah, and even if it's like a skill I developed, it's still a skill. That's definitely not a bad thing. Even if I don't really like it, at least if I'm put in a situation where I need to use it, I know how to, right? So it's never a bad thing to learn that you hate or love something, but it's definitely a great uni for people looking into research and research in general, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Talking about research, have you like been a part of any research projects, or is it just courses that you take and you realize like that, yeah, this isn't for me?
It's been a mix of them. So there, for example, very recently, this is kind of online, so it deterred away from like the extensive like experimentation side of things. But we did have a research project, and my group decided to recreate this experiment to detect Alzheimer's in living patients, because what ends up happening is that and this is just a bit of background for fun, but people who have Alzheimer's, you can only really see it in brain scans when you do an autopsy or postmortem. So we were trying to find a way to see if there's any chemicals, like biochemicals in the brain, that you could detect earlier on, which was it was a lot of fun, because like even if it was research focused, you can really change the lives of others, and I guess that's like the core being of like what I want to do. So I was able to do a lot of this was looking at scientific articles again, just because we didn't have the lab with us. We can't really go to clients like, hey, can I do a spinal tap? Can I get some of your spinal fluid to see if I can like find anything? But it was very interesting. And I think that the courses prepare you really well for the potential research opportunities you can find at the university or at other unis as well.
No, that's incredible. Yeah. I'm on the other side of the spectrum. Like I love research. That's like why I'm in Calgary right now, and that's what I'm doing over the summer. But yeah, it's definitely something that you can explore. I just wanted to cover one last thing, Harleen, regarding like the program that you're a part of.
Yeah.
As I was saying, like it's a difficult competitive program. So I don't know, have you found like a holy grail strategy or like developed like study tips throughout the course of your 3 years, I guess, or 2 years? 'Cause you're going
Yeah.
into
Yeah. I don't think there's like if there's a holy grail, I am yet to find it. But I found a few things that work for me that I think are fantastic. One of them is just be active in class. Like I learned the hard way that I like if there's because I am a very kind of like I need to be engaged with something to really understand it. And I feel like a lot of people are like that. It's a very common thing. If I'm not, I fall asleep in class. Like I've looked my professor in the eye and have fallen asleep making eye contact with him. So instead of just like taking notes or sitting there, like try to understand the material, try to read it ahead of time if you can look at lectures. But realistically, there's not a lot of time for that. So in terms of lifestyle things, I found a lot of things that can help. For example, wake up early. I've been waking up at 6 o'clock early in the summer. It's been fantastic because you have the whole day to kind of like settle yourself like out, and it really helps you take more control of your life, which is something that as an engineer I kind of love because it seems like there's an overwhelming number of things that you have to get done at any given moment. So just kind of like taking control of the small things is nice. But in terms of like school stuff, I would also suggest use study groups. Study with others and kind of bounce ideas off of each other, because you're going to remember the weird reactions your friends make when you ask questions, but you won't remember like the pain that you feel in a small cubicle alone. You'll remember others. So like study with other people, make like flashcards and stuff. For engineering, a lot of it's like applications, so don't waste your time with like concepts. Really
memorizing.
Yeah, just like try doing the problems, try putting yourself in situations and understand the core of it. Would be like the basics of my advice, and I take that with and like as reference, I suppose. I didn't do any of this in my first year, and I ended up failing my calc course, and I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. But I learned that it's because I wasn't applying myself like I should have. I wasn't like engaging with the material. So just if you do that, you'll be fine. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that a little bit. 6 a.m. I am a night owl. Like that is insane. Wow.
During the night, I start procrastinating like that. Those are the bad hours. I'm like,
oh yeah, it's like the opposite for me. Like night is when I go off. Like that's when I get work done. But I think what you said about like the study groups is so important because what was it? Like the first month, I was just like drowning. I'm like, holy crap! This transition from like high school and university, it's surreal. Like it was as if like you were just thrown off a boat and you were just like left there.
Yeah, it really is, because like in university, nobody's gonna be there to be like, hey, make sure you do your homework or make sure you hand in this assignment. So honestly, for a long time, it felt like a chess match. Like, am I gonna sacrifice this to study for this? But it shouldn't be a sacrifice. Like that's in the end, it really shouldn't be. It should just be like a fun experience, and you have to make it one. For me, like all of my advice I'm saying as a procrastinator, if that isn't you, like for example, one of my friends, she studies so well, but then she struggles with like work-life balance. Like she studies all day, and which is like commendable. Her marks beautiful. I could never. but in the end, like joining clubs and all that, that's part of the experience too. Like there's balance with everything, right? So based on your own thing, you like find out what works for you.
Yeah, definitely find a study buddy, because like I used to hop on a call every night with one of my friends, and yeah, that's what got me through first year.
That's what got me through IB too. Like in high school, that's what I was doing for all my exams. Like, hey, do you want to call? Yes, please.
No, I did at high school. It was just like me, like I just on my own. I don't know. University changed me. I'm a different man now.
The coming of age story by Shubh.
No. But I guess we can, transition a bit into some of the incredible initiatives that you've part of. Like it's a perfect transition. You mentioned work-life balance. Maybe just share a little bit about the, different clubs that you're part of. Maybe we can start off with STEM Fellowship, because that's why we're here right now. Can you just tell us a little bit about, I guess, how you got involved with SF and where you are right now?
Yeah, so many moons ago, back when I was in grade 10, I think
The
that's like
coming story of Harleen Klair.
so like that was like 6 years ago or something. I don't even know if that math makes sense, but like it was a while ago. But essentially I joined SF as an ambassador for one of their programs for like outreach. And it was like a decision that is I found it on a Facebook group and I was like, okay, I want to go to sciences. This seems fun, might as well. What ended up happening was SF has these like internal newsletters, and I saw that there was a design position. And back in the day, I loved painting and just like art like that. Like I liked getting hands on, like visual art. And I was
Yeah.
like, hey, that seems like a cool opportunity. So I joined the design team. I only became like very like more involved, I think in my I was on the design team for I think 3 years, and then in
Mhm.
my last year I became more involved, and that was all thanks to like my previous team lead Heidi. She was like on top of it. She was
Heidi.
really helpful. Yeah, she was
I'm meeting up with Heidi next week. That's so
that's
cool.
yeah, that's incredible. She's absolutely fantastic, a gem of a human being. Yeah, like even like when I transitioned to team lead, she would message me. She's like, "Hey, how are things going? How are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, thank
Yeah, I
you."
know. Heidi is amazing. Like, shout out to her right now.
Yeah. She is absolutely fantastic, but she was on top of everything. She really got me involved in it. And like, this is how I learned what good leadership was. She really put responsibility on me. She trusted me. She's like, hey, can you do this? Like, can you handle other people? And I was like, wow, fantastic. Thank you. And thanks to that, myself and Albert became team leads, co-team leads of
Yeah.
the design team. He transitioned to the CMO role first. And then I was part of the team by myself. And that's when you hopped onto wait, you were with
No, I even
Albert was
before,
there.
yeah, both
Yeah,
of you
yeah.
recruited me. Yeah.
So yeah, we when I came onto the team and then I recruited a bunch of more people, quite a few more people. And it was fantastic because like for the first time I was handling like 15 people and I was like, these are the projects that I want us to do, which was great. But then over time I learned that like you really have to like the same thing with the podcast, you really have to kind of let people do what they want and really try to work their passions within the organization. Because like aside from like I don't want it to be as like simplistic as, oh, you make a design on Canva, you send it in, then you're done. It has to be more like, oh, this is what I'm passionate about and that's why I'm doing this, right? Like even now in STEM fellowship, for those of you who like are on our feed and stuff, you'll see that there's like a bite-sized science video, and Qatar loves filming and she
Mhm.
loves videography, and she's golden in front of the camera. So we got her started with that, and she is doing amazing. She's doing an incredible job. Like a few of our other members, and this is going to be more of like a sneak peek kind of thing, are starting like a new initiative for the whole organization, and they are doing a fantastic job drafting up proposals, talking to CEOs and CMOs about how to get this done, which is fantastic. So I guess like it really helped me to become a better leader and learn that being a leader and being a boss are two very different things, and how I want to be more of a supportive person rather than someone who tells someone what to do. And then that helped me to transition to the role of CMO, which is like Chief Marketing Officer, along with Jack. And I'm trying to do the same thing there. It's a bit of a learning curve. I feel like whenever you hop onto a team, you can't just like start up on your own. You really have to learn what the members are. Part of
Yeah.
it's like doing one-on-ones,
On your
learning like
strengths. Yeah.
about
No,
them.
I really appreciated those one-on-ones that you did because of that I was able to join like the SciComm team and start off there.
Yeah, and like it was fantastic because like you really get to know someone aside, because first time fellowship and a lot of other organizations out there, especially now, everything's online. Like we don't get to meet up in person. We don't get to be like, oh hi, I am this. Like we don't get to bond
Right.
as much because it's also like this is a meeting, this way of to do. So making
Mhm.
time for that. Like I personally am very extroverted, so I like doing that. I like to make connections and foster good relationships. So it was fantastic, and that's where I am now. A lot of talking, but that's where the journey is currently.
No, that really is an incredible. I'm telling you, you can make a book out of that, like Harleen Klair biography. But yeah, that's awesome. What you said about when you join a team, it's about like being a leader and not a boss, and actually trying to find each of, I guess, the members' like passions, and instead of, I guess, just ordering them to like finish this task, maybe delegating things to them and asking them like what they're passionate about and maybe something that they want to take on like as a new project. So that's what.
Yeah, it all comes back to like balance. Like you gotta get some stuff done, but you also want to.
Oh yeah. No, you definitely have to.
Yeah, no worries. But like, yeah, all about balance. I feel like that's gonna be a reoccurring theme in today's podcast.
Maybe the title of the episode will be balance. Just
balance.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's cool. And just the last thing I wanted to ask you about SF was, how would you encourage students to get involved? Because you said you started off as an ambassador, but I don't know if someone was looking at getting more involved with SF right now. Where would you tell them to go?
So if you'd like to join SF, I would like ambassadors are a great place to start, but like I like getting more hands-on with organizations. So I was just go to our join us page. So if you search up like STEM Fellowship Join Us, you'll be taken to a page where we have like tons of positions across, like I'm on marketing. So join marketing. It's cool. It's a fun team. But there's other teams that are doing great work. Like Shubh is on Psychom, and he is doing incredible research. So like there are tons of opportunities, and see what works best for you. And if, let's say, you don't really want to join a team right now, there's like a lot of commitments on your side, there are tons of interactive opportunities that we have going on throughout the year. For those of you in high school, we have the High School Big Data Challenge, where you get to like do some research, learn about how to involve yourself in like looking at algorithms, looking at big data, and how to use it in the real world to solve big problems in Canada, like climate change, like the lack of opportunities available to minorities, all of that good stuff. And we have that for university students, as well as a bunch of other programs that you can also see on our site if you check that out, and on our social media. Sorry, this turned into like a whole promotional campaign. I was like, I am marketing. But yeah, so like everything you can find is on our site. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying how you're the face of the organization.
I could never. But yeah. So, like, there's a lot of ways to get involved, and I think that like SF does a good job in making them fun, like for sure. Whether it's like on the team or whether it's through like a quick interactive thing.
Yeah, and the big data challenges that you mentioned, I actually took part in the, I guess, undergraduate big data challenge after I finished my grade 12 year of high school. It was an incredible experience. Like the project I guess we were doing was it was related to COVID-19. I guess we were just exploring data in the sense of like what I guess is the best strategy to, I guess, contain like outbreaks, pandemics. So I guess we were exploring that with big data. It was a phenomenal experience. And it got me excited about research even more. Yeah,
like it's so like, for lack of a better term, it's so big brain. Like it really puts you in that, like, I'm an adult, I'm doing adult things and changing the world kind of mindset. I love that. I can't stand to see any more questions where like Paul throws a watermelon off a cliff and I have to find the trajectory of it. Like this is the kind of stuff that like is the core of how the world works. And I love that kids are doing it. I love that people are trying to get involved in it. It's fantastic.
And that's exactly what Dr. Eden was mentioning in the previous episode as well, about how he wants to foster critical thinking skills within, I guess, this next generation. And like big data challenge is perfect for that.
Exactly. Like I feel old now because I was going to say, like, you guys are like the future, right? Like we're fostering the change we want to see in the world, and like all of like everything that we're facing right now is a problem that we are capable of solving. It's just a matter of trusting youth to solve it instead of being like, oh no, we'll figure it out when we're adults. Like let them foster ideas. Like look how many amazing things kids have done so far. Like it's incredible. You just have to give them the resources and give them the opportunities to do that, whether or not, regardless of whether they're minorities or whether they're part of certain countries. Like I think it's so important, and it's something I'm really, really passionate about.
Diversity,
yeah.
Awesome, cool stuff. I guess another organization that you're also a part of is the Biotech Conference. Would you mind giving like a similar rundown about how you got involved with that? Because by the looks of it, it looked fairly similar to some of the things that SF is doing? It's like more biotech orientated.
Yeah, exactly. So like this is a much shorter story. I just joined it this year. So a lot of what I like to do, I can classify under biotechnology because it doesn't really fit any kind of specific realm. Like it's a mix of like biology and like human mechanics and biomechanics, whatever. So I joined it because I thought it was a cool way to kind of network with people who are also interested in that field or in that field. So for those, like just for context, basically Biotech is a conference that happens late in the year, usually in November. And you get to have a lot of interactive sessions with people in the industry. So there's like a fireside chat, there's a panel where you can like, the problem with conferences now, especially online, is that like you just sit there, you listen to someone talk, and at the end there's questions and you're like, okay, great. Like that was
fun.
2 hours. That was great. so biotech like lets you do pitch comps where you talk to entrepreneurs and they actually give you feedback like, hey, your product seems cool, but like I would do this and this. So you can go back and make iterations and change it. Like one of the projects that we had was Imaginable Solutions. And right now their CEO is like a student. I think she's a year or two older than me in McMaster in mechanical engineering. And she's CEO of a company doing amazing things, making prosthetics. I was like, wow, that's fantastic. So like it's really great for you to kind of put yourself in a position where you can get co-op opportunities, talk to people who are in the field and get feedback from not only like our speakers but our delegates. Like for example, quite a few of the people on the marketing team with me are older than me, and like I've been getting fantastic feedback about like, hey, I'm at Waterloo and I got like this co-op, do you want some feedback on how you can look for co-ops? So yeah, that's fantastic. So
it's all about the networking. That's really neat.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So for me, I just joined, I think in like January as a design lead on the marketing team. And then from there, I've been kind of like mixed up with everything else because it's a very flexible position. I've been doing social media stuff. I've been planning that out. And so check out our feed. It's fantastic. We have a lot of cool stuff going on. One of the coolest ones right now is our July workshop. And it's going to happen in August and September as well, where like, it's going to be similar to what me and Shubh are doing right now. Like you get to talk, like not one-on-one, but like with a small group with speakers, be like, hey, tell me about the work you do. And like they have interactive activities planned. It's glorious. So definitely register for that.
So the conference itself, is that usually in person or has it always just been on a virtual?
Yeah, it's usually in person, which is so much fun. And like if you're at Waterloo, that's fantastic. I'm at McMaster, but I can still come by. It's open to all universities. It's incredible. You get to go in person, you get to like see the speakers present in person. Honestly, now I didn't realize how much I miss these things, but I really do. Being able to interact. Oof.
Well, Alberta is, I guess, fully reopened. I don't know what stance to take on that, but I don't think it's the same with Ontario. I think they're gonna.
Oh, definitely not. Right now, like I just got my second vaccine today, which is hilarious. Yeah.
Now, hopefully, you don't get any like side effects. Because
I hope so too. Right now, it's looking good, but tomorrow morning, I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, because I was like destroyed when I got mine. I hope I don't. Yeah.
It's okay, but like it's looking good. Just like sidetrack to COVID stuff. There are no deaths, which is such a good thing. Yeah. Like low amount of like spread, especially because I'm in the Peel region, which is like the COVID hotspot in Ontario.
Oh, really? Tragedy.
Because just was like there's so many people living here, and like it's really sad because it's a lot of like racist things come off of that, just because like certain communities, like marginalized communities, live in certain areas, which is really tragic. That shouldn't happen, especially not in a place like Canada. But the good thing is that like people are moving past it. People are getting vaccinated, or like if you're not getting vaccinated, that's your prerogative. That's perfectly fine if you believe in that. But like, please get vaccinated.
No,
she was like, no. I'm being nice about issue, but you're just like, no. But I agree.
I don't want to get into that.
Pro-vaccination. Yes.
Cool stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's step away from that touchy.
Yeah, go back. Yeah, but I guess the last thing I just wanted to touch on was, again, like I asked with SF, how you mentioned like follow our social media. Like, what does that like? Where can they go?
Oh yeah, we are available on all of the socials. So I personally look after the Instagram. We have some very spicy graphics made by yours truly. There we have a lot of the registration dates, a lot of like the important info about what's happening, the conference, guest speakers, a lot of fun reels you can look at too. It's called UW Biotech with the without the H, so like UW Biotech. You'll find it when you search it up. It's all good.
Awesome.
But
Yeah, no, I'll try to include all of the links that you mentioned in the show notes so they can.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, links down below. I feel so
Links
cool
down
saying
below.
that. Yeah.
Cool stuff. Yeah. And yeah, I guess we can transition into the next little bit.
Sounds fantastic.
I guess this is like a big overall, big picture kind of question. You're a passionate STEM student, as I don't know, everyone can probably tell by now. What I asked Dr. N the same thing. What do you think is the next big thing in STEM? It's I guess a big question, but
that's a really big question. I think a lot of it lies in like automizing healthcare. And not in the way that where like robots perform surgery too. That's old news now. But like I've been looking at this website stemming from Harvard that's looking at like new research projects. And one thing that I personally absolutely love is synthetic muscle fibers being created for patients post-surgery, or even like they're basically like they're enhancing not only the surgical processes but the post-surgical ones too. So rather than having someone be stitched up, they have like band-aids that can like hold the tissue together and then mend it, rather than having you like actually go into a surgical like suite. And because that takes a whole toll on your body. And like I'm not going to go into any of the science of it because I am not sure about the science of it. But like there's a lot of really interesting things. Like one thing that I personally really love is the automated drug delivery stuff, because like especially for elderly patients.
Yeah. Is that like nanotechnology or is it something else?
I think it's a lot of biochemistry actually, because I was looking into it and basically they have these little hydrogels that they would, for example, like I use this, or I theoretically use this in my hip implant, but essentially they would put the biogels around the hip implant in the socket where the hip goes. And so what happens is that once they stitch the person back up, the biogels would release a concentrated amount of like whatever the patient would need to kind of numb the pain. And so for elderly patients who are at risk of becoming, or like at risk of becoming, I forget the word, because they take a lot of other medications, you don't want that to affect their ability, for example, if they take Tylenol and then they have to take other medications too, it might like counteract the effects.
Okay.
The word, it's completely slipping my mind. That's tragic. But basically it really helps a lot of patients who are taking multiple medications or might be at risk of like immunity issues. So having like concentrated drug delivery, beautiful applications. So a lot of the stuff that I'm interested in lies in healthcare. I'm not sure what Dr. N would have said. Probably something much more advanced. But for me, it's that it's a really cool way of embedding technology into your body, like very literally embedding technology into your body in a way that doesn't like have counteractive effects. You don't have to worry about lead poisoning anymore because we are in the golden age.
Yeah, no, I think I'd have to agree with you, Harleen. I think a lot of, I guess, the innovation that's going to be happening in STEM in the next few years is definitely, like, healthcare is definitely going to be one of the fields that's going to be seeing a lot of change.
Yeah.
Like I was just watching a video yesterday about like Apple. I know that one of their visions, at least Tim Cook's, I think that's his name, what he sees Apple becoming is like a healthcare company. They want to do a lot of innovation there in the next few years.
That is really interesting. And like I feel like going forward, like on the kind of ball of Apple, like with their personalized watches and like
right, exactly.
Like I could like healthcare is becoming so personalized. Like in general, like now you don't really even have to go to a doctor to actually figure out like, hey,
you can
find everything. And it's both amazing and very scary, because like the great part is people like who can't go to doctors or don't have access to doctors have that technology on hand. That's great. But then on the mental health side of things, it kind of builds into like, are people going to become overtly conscious about these things? And like, for example, like as a very broad example, like with weight, people who are very self-conscious about their weight are going to be checking it all the time, right? Like, and that's not a good thing. And the same thing can happen with patients who, like, for example, have high blood pressure and constantly checking it all the time. And like having access to them can cause like not bad diagnoses, but misdiagnoses of something, because people are becoming their own doctors. So it's like like I said, it's a balance. But there's both good and bad to the future, but mostly good. I'm really excited about it, if I'm being completely honest. Personalized healthcare is beautiful. I love it.
Gonna be the charm, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so neat. Like one of my friends was telling me about how you don't even need to like go to see a doctor if maybe you have like a minor checkup that you needed.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Zit or something in your mouth and you want to get that checked out.
Yeah.
Just hop onto like this app. I forgot what it was called, but it was probably through your insurance company. And it's either an RN or a doctor on the other end, and you can like call them, FaceTime, and they'll check it out for you. And they can even prescribe like medications.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I think something that like really struck me was like, now, for example, like I keep going back to the elderly because I feel like there's a lot of ways that we can help improve healthcare for them. But like now having like emergency systems where like if, for example, if they're wearing like an Apple Watch or something and they see like their heart rate is like, not normal levels, it immediately calls like emergency lines for them instead of having them like struggle, or having like a caretaker immediately have to panic and like call someone. Like there are incredible things happening to help people in the world right now. I think like a good step forward would be being able to make this technology more accessible with pricing for other, like communities outside of Canada who maybe don't have free healthcare and stuff, like America, but like, places around the world.
Nice.
Subtle.
Cool stuff. Yeah. A lot of big things happening right now. And yeah, you're going to be a part of it because I biomed.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So excited. I love personalized patient care. Like being able to change someone's life one-on-one is fantastic. I so look forward to it.
Cool stuff. Yeah. I guess we're coming near the end. I guess I had one more question for you.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I started this podcast was, I guess, to inform and I guess share the array of resources and opportunities that are available to students, but I guess they might not just know of them. So yeah, I guess I started this podcast to make it easier for them to, I guess, make use of these opportunities and become successful. I guess especially if they want to pursue like a career in STEM. Mm-hmm. So did you have any advice or maybe words of wisdom for these aspiring students?
I have a few words of wisdom, I suppose, because like I guess there's a few points to touch on in STEM. One of them being like the best way to get advice is to talk to someone in STEM. Like if you're interested in a particular field, don't be afraid to like send an email, and it's okay if they don't email back. Like there's so many people out there, so many professors that would love to talk to you about their research, and it's like don't be afraid to be like, hey, can I like have a brief Zoom call with you, even just to kind of like discuss ways that I can get involved. It doesn't matter how young you are. Like never let that stop you from joining an opportunity. I apologize.
It's all good. Yeah, while your phone is ringing, what you talked about just reaching out to people, like don't be afraid to send them an email. Maybe I'll share like a personal anecdote. I'm currently doing research here at the University of Calgary, and I guess that wouldn't have been possible if I didn't send out like 10 emails during like the winter of my first year. And what a lot of people think is that like they're in first year and I guess they don't have the experiences, like skills and experiences to do that research. But profs, like they're very welcoming, and they'll, at least most of them, they'll like they won't mind even if you're first year. Like make sure you send them out, send an email out to them early. Obviously not late. So I'd probably recommend either November, December. That's usually the time when keeners like to reach out to profs. And yeah, you'll be surprised by the welcoming atmosphere that you'll receive.
Yeah, like they're really open to having like undergrad students talk to them. And even if you're in high school, I still think like if you can reach out to a professor, like obviously, like Shubh said early on, there's no harm in seeing, like, even if they say no, I think that's a huge piece of advice. Even if you don't get an opportunity, you don't get a job, or you like something, there's no harm in saying, hey, can I get some feedback, or is there a way that I can get involved in some other like line? Because I think that like feedback and weight, things like that really help change the way you approach situations. Maybe it's a problem with your resume. Maybe you're not including some of the spicier things you're doing. Like it's completely fine to have someone say no and you to improve. I think that's a huge thing that people overlook. Like success does not happen in one day. It looks that way because we're looking at it from the outside, but there's people like sending over 500 emails, applying to millions of jobs before they get like the one that really sticks, right?
Yeah.
So like it's fine. Don't worry. Don't let that kind of like hold you back. It has no reflection on your self-worth. I think that's another really important point. Mental health, self-worth. Don't let school define it. Just, not keep it separate, but like understand that not one thing cannot define the like complexity of your identity. So yeah, just do what you got to do to put yourself out into the world would be, a good way to get to talk about reaching out and stuff. But yeah, like I think that's the best way to succeed in STEM. Talk to people, network, get to know the community that you're entering, and don't be afraid.
I love that. Yeah, and get LinkedIn if you don't have it. Honestly, like I've met some amazing people. Like it's like cold messaging people on LinkedIn. Like I don't know if I'm looking at someone's profile and I really admire like what they're doing. I'll just reach out to them and be like, maybe ask them about some of the things that they're a part of and what their experiences have been with that. And yeah, it's been really helpful guiding me about where I want to go. So
and it really opens you up to like things that people are doing that maybe you didn't consider. Like there's tons of research projects out there where people are showcasing stuff that they're innovating and creating. You're like, that's something I'm interested in and that you didn't consider as a career possibility. And on that note, I'd love to say that do not feel limited by the careers that you see in school. Like if you have something in mind that you're passionate about, you can start your own company. Like it's really not that hard. Like it's not that bad. It is difficult, but it's not something that's a huge daunting thing, and it'll be much easier to like join a job. No, like passion takes you a lot farther than people really give it credit for. So if something is interesting you, don't feel that you have to like go through a box to get it. Like just do what you got to do.
Yeah, reach out, network. It's amazing. Yeah, I guess we can end it on that unless you had something else to include.
No. That I think if you let me keep talking, I'm gonna talk for a very long time. So I think it might.
I don't mind that, honestly. Like I'm thinking of blast right now.
Yeah, but like I would just say like you're joining a fantastic community. STEM is definitely a great. It's not just the future, but it is a great pathway to the future, and you'll definitely find a way to put your personal touch into it. So I'm excited to see what the future holds for like all of our viewers and us as well. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting.
Woohoo. I guess that is it, friends. Thanks for hopping onto the show, Harleen. Like I had a really great time, and I hope you did too.
Lots of laughs. I loved it.
Awesome. Cool stuff. Yeah, no, have a great week. Have a great weekend. And talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.
That's all for this month. Thank you for listening. If you liked this episode, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. If you have questions or thoughts about this episode or just want to connect, I'd love to get an email from you at the email address that's listed in the show notes. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you next time.